Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell held a virtual testimony/hearing today, allowing various senators to ask questions about things like the second stimulus check, how the original $2.2 trillion CARES Act is still yet to be implemented, Paycheck Protection Program questions, and larger business funding questions. So the hearing was just over 2.5 hours long. So let me save you some time and give you a brief overview of all the key highlights from this hearing. So starting off with a piece of news that actually made some headlines, Senator John Kennedy made a few claims that seemed to irk Mnuchin and Powell just a little bit. So he basically said, hey, the two parties aren't agreeing on any kind of future stimulus deal, and he's basically assuming that in order for it to go through, McConnell, Schumer, Pelosi, McCarthy, and Powell are all going to go off and negotiate some kind of deal on what the next package is going to be, and then they're going to bring the deal back to the Republicans and Democrats in both houses, and they're basically just going to be like, so this is the deal, deal with it. The response was some defensiveness, and that's not how it's going to be decided, that's not how things work. And Kennedy was kind of like, yeah, okay, I know how things work. Then Senator Kennedy went on to say that he thinks that there's a less than 50% chance that a new stimulus bill, including new stimulus direct payment checks, will go through. I don't personally think that this opinion holds a whole lot of weight because it seems like he was kind of frustrated, and we're also looking at all these other people who believe there's going to be an additional stimulus package. Seems to me that there's probably more than a 50% chance, but that's just my opinion personally. Another highlight was Secretary Mnuchin warned that if the economy remains shut, the economy may suffer permanent damage. This is something that he's really worried about. Republicans and Democrats are kind of divided on how reopening should work as of right now, but Mnuchin is a strong proponent that we should open sooner than later. Otherwise, it is going to be bad for the economy. The next major point made is Senator Elizabeth Warren came in hot, guns blazing, looking for answers. She pointed out her issues with the $500 billion in funding in place for mid and large size business relief. Her major issue was that the Treasury was given control on how this program is going to be divvied up, how the rules are going to work, basically how the program is going to be allotted to businesses. They made all the rules. And she said that there's not enough guidelines ensuring companies won't take this funding and fire staff. She said that with the Paycheck Protection Program, it required that small businesses retain employees in order to receive the funding. But in these mid and large size business programs, there's no such stipulation. She finished by asking if there would be any guidelines to ensure big companies keep their employees, to which there wasn't much of a response. But man, I think she got her point across. That was interesting to watch. The next major piece of news is the Main Street lending program will start in June. This doesn't apply to most people. This $454 billion program provides funding in the form of 4-year loans for mid-sized businesses. These are businesses that are just too big for the Paycheck Protection Program. Is the ideal size. We'll see what actually happens. Seems like there's some contention with exactly how that's going to be laid out as well. We have 2 more pieces of news from this testimony. The first one being members on both sides of the aisle agree that the Paycheck Protection Program should be more flexible. They say that the rules are constantly changing and they're just endlessly confusing, and this is causing many small business owners either to return their loans or to be afraid to spend the money. I agree with this 100%. I mean, I'm looking into this stuff every single day, and I still feel kind of nervous about how I spend the money, about what exactly is going to happen with forgiveness, because things are constantly changing. So I agree, it's a major issue. And a big point of tension with most of the senators in agreement is that the 8-week period that small businesses are required to spend the money in is just too rigid and excludes many businesses. I know I've received comments myself from people who are like, my business is closed for the next 8 weeks, so I had to just return the loan. And that's just absolutely ridiculous that an eligible business has to return it because of this 8-week stipulation. So Mnuchin acknowledged that the 8-week period is a concern, didn't really say much else. Democratic Party members have proposed extending this to 24 weeks, which I personally think would be a great idea. Or maybe some form of you get to choose when you receive the funding and then the 8-week period starts, or something that is just slightly more flexible. Finally, the last thing, many Republicans are still pushing on the let's wait and see stimulus idea. Basically, they want to see what the effects are for the first CARES Act before enacting another stimulus bill. I mean, Congress isn't in session right now anyway, so no matter what, it's going to be a little while before anything actually gets done. So how long this wait and see period is kind of up in the air still. So that's really about it. Everything you need to know. If you still want to watch the testimony for yourself, you can check it out on C-SPAN. It's totally free to watch, but it's pretty long and pretty repetitive. So until next time, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.